Divine Reflection! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Idalis. Nice to meet you. I'm a healer and psychic and astrologer, and on this channel I love to talk about esoterica, the occult, and give you tools for the spiritual journey. So if that's something that interests you, definitely consider liking, subscribing, commenting down below your thoughts. And don't forget to share this video so that we can continue to raise the frequency of love and light on this sacred planet. Today's video is of course about my experience connecting to the 12th dimensional frequency, the Lyran frequency. If you don't know already, I am a starseed and am very connected to higher realms of consciousness, and over the past couple of months I have been developing my connection to the Lyra Constellation and this dimensional frequency. I think of dimensions existing as chakra points in the body, and the 12th dimensional frequency is my 12th chakra, and the 12th chakra is how I channel the frequency of Lyra. The 12th chakra is the chakra that I work with when I am trying to commune with the Lyrans. And the 12th dimensional frequency shows up in my reality as heaven, as source energy, as the highest dimensional frequency that exists, which is a bright white light that, I see in my 12th chakra, a couple of, I would say, maybe a couple of feet above my head. In my physical reality, on the 3rd dimensional plane of this reality, Lyra shows up to me as purple lights as well. And the Lyrans also show up in my reality in the form of cats and kittens. When I see a cat, I think of Lyra. And this is because, if you don't know, there's theory surrounding the fact that aliens have been experimenting with kind of the DNA of this planet. Aliens and these higher dimensional beings that exist in these various constellations, in these different galaxies across our universe. There's theory surrounding the fact that these alien beings have come to Earth and have manipulated the DNA of the beings that have existed, in a sense, to create versions of themselves. If you feel as though you are connected to the constellation of Draco, for instance, it is said that they created dinosaurs. The same is true for Lyrans. It is said that they created, cats as versions of themselves, essentially. And of course, the Lyrans themselves are feline. They have the heads of cats themselves, although they walk upright on 2 legs. To learn more about any of these starseeds, definitely check out my starseeds playlist. So, over the course of my working with the Lyran frequency, I have been able to get better at understanding these energies and channeling this dimensional frequency. This particular night that I'm about to share with you was one of the most powerful experiences that I've had working with Lyra. And this experience came about through my meditation and my intention setting at my altar. For those who don't know, I have 2 altars actually. I have an altar for energies that embody kind of a darker aspect of myself, or the polarity of myself. And I also have an altar that's dedicated to like more Hindu gods and Buddhist, and more so embodies kind of a lighter energy, I would say. There's a scroll at my Buddhist altar and trinkets and crystals, whereas my altar that represents duality is a little heavier. My Buddhist altar also happens to be the altar where I connect to the 12th dimensional frequency and Lyra. I have a little cat statue on this altar, or had one, that was a representation of Lyra for me. So for those who don't know what channeling is, it's when you allow a spirit to essentially overtake your being, to experience that spirit and to understand it like at a deeper level. When I do psychic readings, I channel energy from source, from this kind of high dimensional frequency so that I can get messages and answers from a very clear space, and I can become a vessel for the highest vibration, the highest truth to come through when I deliver messages. The same is true when I create really any form of content that I put out. And then of course in my healing sessions, this really high frequency energy is palpable and felt. So after a really beautiful, meditation at my altar, I fell asleep that night, and I ended up waking up in the middle of the night to an experience that I've never truly had at such a deep level before. It felt as though I was completely not at all myself. I felt outside of myself. It was almost as if the frequency was my entire being. I woke up that night and felt incredibly awake. I felt a really intense surge of energy through my being. I felt incredibly energetic as well, like very just aware of my surroundings, hyper aware. And I felt the need to move. I felt as though, I don't know, like my body just needed to express itself in movement. And the movements that I was expressing myself through were incredibly tribal, which is strange considering that the Lyran frequency is of such a high vibration that I felt as though I was connecting to a very ancestral part of myself in a very early human kind of way. And I say that I was shocked because it never occurred to me before that our highest self is our most human self, is our most tribal self, is our most earthly self, and my movements felt as though I was conjuring something. I felt as though I was a force of nature. I felt as though I was one with the world around me. And my blinds were open that night, and I was peering out into the New York City street, right, that I live on, and somehow felt really connected to the landscape. I felt as though I was here in this reality, but also of a reality that was more true to the core of who we are as human beings. I hope I'm explaining this right. I just felt the energy of everything around me. I had a tapestry that hung above my bed of the Sun Tarot card. I'm a Leo, for those who didn't know. So, I had the Sun Tarot card above my bed, and I remember like dancing to the sun. I remember just like praising the sun and just being like, wow, that's a thing that exists in my reality, like this beautiful, like huge energy, like I feel that energy, and I looked out into the street and I was like, oh my God, I'm like this human being on this earthly plane, like living out this life. I don't know, it just felt, the experience of it felt incredibly magical, and I felt this incredible sense of oneness with the duality that exists within nature and within our existence as, human beings. Everything that I was feeling was an incredibly deep and intense emotional expression of my feelings and my thoughts and the world around me. My movements became a language, and my movements also were very, not only tribal, but almost warlike. I felt like a warrior spirit within me. Maybe that's something that's inherent to me. I do feel as though I was a warrior in a past life. So it could be that I was just channeling a high version of myself, and that's not, the Lyran frequency itself. On different occasions of me channeling the Lyran frequency, I have also experienced my dance movements as becoming light. So as I was dancing to music that was playing, I saw my body as light, and my body was creating kind of this language of light. I was using this language to manifest certain like emotions within me, like to perhaps like open certain chakras, to like cleanse my chakras, and to also just experience a fluidity of movement. And this fluidity represented this kind of unity within me of my connection to the source and to this like infinite flow, this infinite sound, this infinite frequency and energetic state. On other separate occasions, I've had experiences of connecting to Lyra through humming and just singing aloud. And through the singing, I've been able to also deepen into that flow, right? And I've been also able to shift the energy around me through my voice. And through these chants, through the sound of my singing, and the singing wouldn't always necessarily be like lyrics. I could just hum notes or hum a series of notes in a certain pattern. I would use that pattern to create certain frequencies that would manifest in my reality. And music is a beautiful way that Lyra expresses itself, right? When I think of the highest frequency, when I think of source energy and the energy of heaven, this oneness, I think of this one verse, right? This singular verse, which is the universe. After my, channeling of Lyra, I ended up finally feeling some sense of normality and was able to like go to sleep, which was essentially me like fainting onto my bed because I couldn't believe what had just happened. And that's when I began also receiving visions of fairies, water fairies and mermaids. But that's a separate story time that I want to get into. I also saw myself as a mermaid. So yeah, I am a siren, along with being a really intensely cosmic being who's just connected to all that is, including Lyra. And you are too. Whoever's watching this video, you are deeply connected to your power, and I'm here to remind you that this connection is something that is readily accessible to you and is a frequency that you can embody in your daily life. You can be the full expression of yourself. You can be the light, you can be the dark, you can be this full-bodied range of being, and you can exist as a spiritual being in the physical by deepening into your connection, by rediscovering this connection. And I'm so grateful that I get to remind you of that. So that concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. And all of my personal booking links are down below. If you would like to book a session with me, I would be honored and so excited to work with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week for a brand new video. Bye!